And let's get some more on the developing situation. We're joined by New South Wales Rural Fire Service Commissioner Shane Fitzsimmons, who is at the RFS headquarters. Shane, good morning to you. Alison, as we just heard, and you've been mentioning as well, the hot weather coming back on board for Tuesday and Wednesday. We've had a bit of a reprieve with the cooler conditions, but it's still very, very dangerous out there. And we've just been reporting the 100 homes destroyed, 3 people unaccounted for and more than 30 injured.
Yeah, that's right, Janie. It's an awful picture, isn't it, really? And we saw some horrendous conditions yesterday with so many fires, a record number of fires for us in New South Wales, burning concurrently at the emergency warning alert level, 17 burning at the emergency warning alert level, another 9 burning at the watch and act level. As we've indicated already this morning, early indications, field reports overnight identify at least 100 homes have been destroyed. And that's not counting a number of fire grounds that we haven't been able to get any preliminary intelligence on at this stage. We will have impact assessment teams out in the field come first light this morning, and they'll be going right across the enormity of these fire grounds, and there's every likelihood that that number of losses will climb. We've also seen some very serious injuries, a wide range of injuries, including very serious injuries to firefighters and members of the community alike. Everything from smoke inhalation and heat exhaustion through to serious lacerations, heart attacks and serious burns, requiring varying degrees of hospitalisation and ongoing treatment. As you quite rightly mentioned, we are concerned about 3 people that remain unaccounted for, and we are encouraging everybody to get on to the Identify Reunite website with the Red Cross so we can try and take stock of that. We've still got a number of fires, 70-odd fires burning across New South Wales. More than 40 of those are not contained. And right now we've still got 6 at the emergency warning level and another 10 at watch and act alert level as well. So a busy day ahead, a busy weekend ahead for firefighters and all these communities affected by fires. And we've got worse conditions yet again coming in early in the week, predominantly Tuesday at this stage.
So, Shane, 3 people unaccounted for at the moment, 100 homes lost. You say that we're going to, no doubt, have to steady ourselves for more information in that area. Do you expect the list of those unaccounted for to rise?
At this stage, Tim, we can't rule it out, but I've got no indication to suggest that. But obviously, given the enormity of these fire grounds and the number of fires, overnight, 3 or 4 fires have now become 1 fire. You're talking about fires burning across the landscape. Yesterday, the number of fires that we were dealing with yesterday alone have burnt out more country, more area than the entire fire season of last year in New South Wales. You're talking an enormous burnt out area, enormous area still on fire. And whilst I sincerely hope we don't see more numbers climb in terms of unaccounted for people, we simply can't rule it out.
Shane, we've had almost 100% of New South Wales drought declared. We had the cooler change coming through overnight. Unfortunately, there was very little rain at all. We've had reports of your resources being stretched to the limits. How are they today?
Oh, look, our resources have been absolutely flogged, Janie. As you quite rightly said, the drought-driven conditions across New South Wales, the moisture deficit in the landscape translates to no moisture in the fuel, which makes the fuels, grassland fuels, leaf litter on the ground, the shrub layers, the tree layers, they're highly flammable, and we're seeing fires start extremely easy. They're spreading very, very quickly and burning very aggressively. We've got very volatile, very dynamic fire grounds with extraordinary fire behaviour, and we're seeing fire behaviour and spot fire activity more than twice what would normally be expected under the sorts of fire danger rating conditions that we're experiencing over the last couple of months. And that's the other reality. In Region North, we've been averaging June, July, August through winter more than 1,000 fires a month. And so far this reporting period from the 1st of July, we're somewhere near 6,000 fires already here in New South Wales. So absolutely, firefighters have been bolstered up in Region North with thousands of their colleagues from right around New South Wales, but we've also seen somewhere in the order of 700 odd firefighters and management specialists coming from right across Australia and New Zealand over the last couple of weeks just to help out their colleagues here in New South Wales. And we are very grateful for that firefighting effort and that firefighting support, along with the broader emergency management personnel that are operating here right across firegrounds in New South Wales and here in the State Operations Centre at Sydney.
Thankfully, we've seen a reprieve in conditions this morning, and your staff have taken advantage of that. But some of the language for lay people like us that were used yesterday, like pyrocumulus, things I've never heard of before, where these clouds were developing almost in a perfect firestorm. The conditions were, you know, if there was a moment of perfect fire, it was yesterday afternoon.
Oh look, it was truly awful, Tim, and what we saw, and I was talking to some of our team early this morning and late last night, we saw some of these fire danger ratings getting into the severe and extreme before lunchtime yesterday. So you're talking, those sorts of scenarios don't usually occur until mid-afternoon, later in the afternoon, and some of these fires were becoming so large they were effectively creating this pyroconvective situation where they effectively create their own thunderstorms. They've got this massive energy, this draw of air coming in the bottom of the fire, being generated through this energy of combustion and expelling all this heat out through the top of them, creating this massive cloud mass, this massive thunderstorm head above them. And what that creates for is an extremely dangerous and volatile situation where you get these aggressive downbursts, these collapses in the atmosphere, which drive localised weather in and around the fire area, and that drives localised erratic and dangerous fire behaviour and fire conditions. You can even get lightning activity, lightning storms generated out as a result of these thunderheads, and those lightnings, that lightning activity ends up creating new fires and starts new ignitions in and around the fire area. So we were talking about some pretty horrendous conditions yesterday, and the reports I've heard throughout the night, and I've seen lots of video footage, firefighters, community members have dealt with some pretty difficult conditions. You wouldn't want anything worse than that. And as a matter of fact, I've had a number of people saying it's the worst they've seen in their 40 or 50 years of career in the fire business.
Oh, it's certainly unbelievable when you hear yesterday we had 99 fires, 55 uncontained and 17 emergency levels all at one time. Shane, let's look ahead, and we've got the very high fire danger ratings for the far north coast. As we get into Tuesday and Wednesday, I mean, they're obviously going to elevate those fire danger ratings. What are you thinking in terms of where the fires are going, where we've got to look at in terms of the wind strength and with the weather patterns coming through, the main areas of concern that you think between now and when we get to Tuesday?
I think the primary thing, Janie, is that we're simply not going to get all these fires contained. That is a fact. You're talking about thousands of kilometres of fire edge around these fires. We are simply not going to get on top of all of that between now and the deteriorating conditions of Tuesday. Even though the conditions are easing this weekend, we're still talking widespread very high fire dangers, and given the drought-stricken nature of the landscape, we're still seeing very aggressive, very fast-moving fire behaviour and fire spread. What is also of concern, going into Tuesday to answer your question, obviously we're going to be concerned about where the existing fires are, but the early indications I've got, and was reinforced by your weather cross there, we're expecting the worsening of the fire conditions to probably encompass a much broader geographic area as we head into Tuesday. So we've really got to be looking at right across New South Wales. Of course, we're going to be focused on all those areas already fire affected, but it simply reinforces, Janie, the criticality of everyone being prepared. People need to be prepared. They need to prepare themselves, their family, their loved ones, their home, their property. We've got a long season yet ahead of us. The outlook ahead is nothing but above average temperatures, below average rainfall to dominate, so hotter and drier than normal conditions. We haven't even hit summer yet, which is traditionally where some of the worst of our fire activity is. So please be prepared. Please be ready to act in accordance with that bushfire survival plan. The things you do now could make all the difference to you and your family and your loved ones should you be impacted by fire this season.
Yeah, it's unprecedented, isn't it? Because these fires, some of them, Shane, actually started in late August. So, yes, they're certainly not going to go anytime soon, which is a very strong indication as well, because it was an early start to the bushfire season for New South Wales.
Absolutely, it was a very early start. As I indicated earlier, we've been through winter. We were getting more than 1,000 fires a month. Some of these fires have been managed and trying to be brought under control for 8 or 10 weeks. So I think we had a significant burst of activity during August and then an intensification of the activity with some dry lightning storms in the early week of September. And some of those fires that have started are still being worked on today. We're talking months of effort. We're talking 500 people to 1,300 people per day, per shift, daytime, nighttime, that have been rotated around working on these fires day in, day out for months. And the reality is, unfortunately, we've got the worst of the fire season still ahead of us. Yeah,
the latest is at least 100 homes destroyed, 3 people unaccounted for. It's a fast-moving story. And I know, Shane, it's not your job to police. You and your staff work unbelievable hours to try and control the most terrible of situations, but there is still that unthinkable edge sometimes that some of these fires are being deliberately lit.
Oh, look, and whilst I don't have any indications of that at this stage, Tim, I think it's fair to say a lot of these fires have been a result of lightning and they've been around a while. But of course, anyone that wants to light fires at any time, it's a serious crime. How dare they endanger the lives of all our firefighters and our emergency services and all those communities that would be affected by these fires. We've got the toughest penalties available here in New South Wales. We've got the best police and fire investigators. They do a lot of covert work. They do a lot of overt work. And if anyone wants to participate in that sort of heinous crime, then the odds are you're going to be caught, and the full weight of the law will be thrown against you, and deservedly so.
Absolutely, Shane. Look, congratulations on the work your staff have done up to this point. I know it's going to be a long, hot summer, but thankfully we need to cling to bright news, and we've had a little bit of brighter news with the weather this morning, and hopefully through the course of the day.
And if I may just say, Tim, obviously we've got a lot of staff, but we owe a debt of gratitude all the time to the vast majority of this workforce who are volunteers, the men and women who are taking time away from family, time away from business, time away from work. Without the generosity, support and love of their families, of their employers, of their broader community, they simply wouldn't be able to give the sort of effort, the sort of time that they're giving right now, working shoulder to shoulder with all their salaried counterparts, whether it's in the RFS, Fire and Rescue, National Parks, Forestry, the police and the broader emergency services. Without them, we'd all be very much the poorer as a community of New South Wales.
Yeah, and they're not just going around doing menial tasks, they're putting their life at risk. So thanks so much, Shane.
Thank you, Tim.